Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to try to wrap our heads around some pretty big ideas about the nature of reality. What is this all about anyway? You sent us these excerpts from Awakening to the Cosmic Dream, which explores this concept of Maya, or illusion, from the perspective of Advaita Vedanta.
Yeah, and this text really jumps right into the deep end. It starts by using the expanding universe as like a metaphor for Maya.
So how does an expanding universe, relate to this concept of Maya?
Well, we know that the universe is expanding, right? But it's not expanding because new matter is like popping into existence all the time. Instead, it's the fabric of space itself that's actually stretching. The text uses this as a way to understand this whole Maya thing. It suggests that what we perceive, as the universe, it's not actually the ultimate reality. It's more like a projection, like a play of Maya unfolding within something much larger.
Oh, so instead of the universe expanding into something, it's expanding within something else.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where Advaita Vedanta gets really interesting. You see, it says that the universe doesn't exist within something else in like a physical sense. It exists within consciousness itself. That's the container, if you will. And according to Advaita Vedanta, consciousness is the only true reality.
Whoa, that's a pretty bold statement. It's hard to imagine the entire universe existing inside consciousness. Like, how does that even work?
I know, right? It kind of challenges how we normally think about reality. But the text uses the analogy of a dream to help explain this concept. When you're dreaming, the dream world feels completely real at the time, but when you wake up, you realize it was all just in your mind.
Yeah, totally. I've had some dreams that felt so real that I woke up confused about what was real and what wasn't.
Exactly. And Advaita Vedanta suggests that our waking experience could be similar, just on a much, much grander scale.
So if the universe is like this cosmic dream, who's the dreamer in this scenario?
So, Advaita Vedanta calls this ultimate dreamer Brahman, which is infinite and indivisible consciousness. But it's not like a personal god in the way that a lot of religions talk about. It's more like the source of all being, the fundamental reality from which everything comes from.
So it's not just about us being physical beings in this physical universe. We're actually part of this cosmic dream being projected by Brahman.
Exactly, and the text uses this term, mithya, to describe the nature of the universe. Basically, it means that the universe exists, but not in the way we normally think about it. It's real in the sense that we experience it, but it's ultimately an illusion.
Okay, so this whole mithya concept is really interesting. Do you have any examples of how something can exist and be an illusion at the same time?
Sure, imagine you're walking through the desert, and up ahead you see this shimmering pool of water. You're feeling relieved because you think it's real, but as you get closer, it disappears. That was just a mirage, an illusion created by the bending of light. It existed visually, but it wasn't actually what you thought it was.
Oh, okay, I get it. So our perception of the universe and even this idea of a separate self could be like mirages, tricks of Maya.
Precisely. The text argues that Maya is this powerful force of illusion that makes us perceive duality and separation, where there's actually only unity. It's like a veil that covers our true perception and makes us identify with all these temporary things like our body, our mind, and our ego.
So Maya is like a major player in shaping how we experience the world. Is there any way to see through this illusion?
That's exactly what the text explores next. It talks about this process of awakening, recognizing our true nature as Atman.
Wait, Atman, that's another term from Advaita Vedanta, right? Can you remind me what that means?
Of course, Atman is our true essence, the spark of Brahman that exists within each of us. It's often called the self, but with a capital S, to differentiate it from our ego or our small, limited sense of self.
Okay. So Maya makes us forget our true nature as Atman, which is, at its core, one with Brahman. But how do we actually break free from this forgetfulness and the illusion of separation?
That's where things start to get really interesting. The text describes specific practices and insights that Advaita Vedanta offers to help us along this journey of awakening.
I'd love to hear more about that. What are some of these practices that help us see through this Maya and realize our true nature as Atman?
Well, one of the most important practices is called neti neti.
Yeah.
It translates to not this, not this. And it's a method of self-inquiry where you basically examine your thoughts, feelings, and experiences to recognize that none of them are your true self.
So it's like a process of elimination. You strip away all the temporary layers to get to the core of who we really are.
Exactly. You're figuring out what changes, like your body, mind, and emotions, and what remains constant, which is your Atman, and that Atman is ultimately one with Brahman.
That makes sense. Are there any other practices that the text highlights?
Yeah, meditation. It's another super important practice. When we cultivate stillness and turn our attention inwards, meditation can help us dissolve all the mental chatter and agitation that keeps us bound to Maya's illusions.
So it's like meditation gives us a glimpse of that deeper reality that's always there beneath all our thoughts and perceptions.
You got it. The text really emphasizes that awakening isn't about rejecting the world or escaping reality. It's about recognizing that everything, including us, the dreamer, and the dream itself, are all manifestations of Brahman. It's about seeing the world with a new level of clarity and understanding.
This is all pretty mind-blowing, and I have to admit, a lot to take in. It really makes you question everything you thought you knew about reality.
It definitely does. And the text acknowledges that this journey of awakening can be challenging. You need courage, honesty, and a willingness to let go of some pretty ingrained beliefs about ourselves and the world.
But what's the payoff? What's it actually feel like to awaken from this cosmic dream?
Well, imagine waking up not just from a night of sleep, but from the dream of existence itself. All the things we normally cling to, like the separation between self and other, subject and object, even life and death, start to dissolve.
That sounds like a pretty huge shift in perspective.
It is. You come to realize that you're not just a separate part of the universe, but you are the universe, experiencing itself through all these different forms and perspectives.
Wow, that's an incredible concept. Does the text give a specific name to this state of awakening?
It's called Turiya, which is often described as the fourth state of consciousness.
We've already talked about waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, so how is Turiya different from those?
That's a great question, and one we can definitely explore further. But first, I think it's helpful to understand how the text connects these ancient teachings to modern science.
That's right. I remember the source material mentioned those connections. It's wild how some of these ancient ideas seem to line up with modern discoveries in physics and cosmology.
It really is. For example, Advaita Vedanta has always said that time and space are ultimately illusions, constructs of Maya. And what's really interesting is that modern physics seems to be coming to a similar conclusion.
Oh, like how space-time can be warped, and the holographic principle where our 3D universe could actually be a projection from a 2D surface.
Exactly. These concepts challenge how we usually think about reality and suggest that the universe is far more mysterious and interconnected than we ever imagined.
It's pretty mind-blowing to think that ancient wisdom and modern science might be converging on a similar understanding of reality. What other parallels does the text explore?
Well, Advaita Vedanta puts a lot of emphasis on the unity of all things, the idea that Brahman is the one true reality behind everything. And that seems to resonate with physics' search for a unified field theory, a single framework that can explain all the forces of nature.
So both Advaita Vedanta and modern physics are pointing to a deeper underlying unity, like a single source from which everything arises.
That's right. And even quantum physics, with all its weird and counterintuitive findings, supports this idea of interconnectedness. The fact that particles can be entangled, influencing each other instantly over vast distances, suggests a level of connection that just blows our classical understanding of the world out of the water.
It's like everything is woven together by this invisible web of relationships, and it all comes from a single source.
Precisely. And this leads us to another fascinating parallel: the role of the observer. Advaita Vedanta teaches us that Maya shapes reality based on our own perceptions and ignorance. And in quantum mechanics, we see something similar with the observer effect. The very act of observing something actually influences how particles behave, which suggests that consciousness might play a role in shaping reality.
So it's not just that we're perceiving the world through this lens of Maya, but our very act of observing might actually be helping to create the reality we experience.
That's what it seems to suggest, and it's a pretty profound idea. It raises all these questions about the nature of consciousness, the relationship between mind and matter, and even the very fabric of reality itself.
It's almost as if the universe is this giant mirror reflecting back our own beliefs, perceptions, and how aware we are.
That's a really beautiful way to put it. And that's why this journey of awakening becomes so important. The more we can shed the limitations of our ego, the more we can purify our perception and see the world as it truly is, as a manifestation of this divine play of Brahman.
So by getting rid of the veils of Maya, we're essentially polishing the mirror and allowing it to reflect a clearer image of reality.
Exactly. And as we go further on this path, our experience of the world changes. We start seeing how everything is interconnected, finding beauty in the everyday, and recognizing this divine spark within each being.
That sounds incredibly freeing. But I have to admit, the thought of awakening from this cosmic dream is both exciting and a little terrifying. What's on the other side of Maya? What does it actually mean to realize our true nature as Brahman?
That's a question each person has to answer for themselves through their own self-discovery. But the text gives us some pretty intriguing hints about what this state of awakening might be like.
Okay, I'm definitely curious to hear more. What might it feel like to completely awaken from the illusion of separation?
Imagine this: a vast, boundless expanse of pure consciousness, like an ocean of awareness that has no beginning and no end. This is Brahman, the ultimate reality. And within this ocean of consciousness, countless waves rise and fall, galaxies forming and disappearing, stars being born and fading away, life emerging and changing.
So the universe is like this cosmic dance of creation and destruction, and it all happens within this infinite expanse of Brahman.
Exactly. And in this state of Turiya, you realize you're not separate from this dance. You are the dance. You're the dreamer, the dream, and the dreaming all rolled into one.
Wow, that's a lot to process. But there's a kind of beauty in that idea, isn't there? Knowing that we're all interconnected, all part of this grand cosmic play.
It's truly awe-inspiring. And the text makes it clear that this realization doesn't take away from the beauty of the world, it actually enhances it. When we see the universe as Brahman, we experience it as pure consciousness, infinite and eternal. We recognize the divine spark in everyone and everything, and how deeply interconnected we all are.
It's like the world becomes a canvas for some divine artist, and we're all part of this incredible masterpiece.
You got it. And this realization brings a deep sense of peace, joy, and freedom. The fear of death disappears because you understand that there's no real separation, just change. The ego loses its grip, and you feel deeply connected to all of creation.
This is all so fascinating, but I have to say, it raises more questions than it answers. Is this state of Turiya something we can achieve in this lifetime? Or does it happen gradually, maybe over many lifetimes?
That's a question that philosophers and spiritual seekers have been debating for ages. Some think full awakening is this rare instant event, while others see it as a gradual unfolding of consciousness. The text itself suggests that both paths are possible.
So there's no one right answer. It's a journey that's unique for everyone.
Exactly. The most important thing is to start right where you are, with this sincere desire to know the truth about who you are. As you move along this path, the universe will guide you, bring you the teachers you need, and give you the experiences that will help you awaken to your true nature.
This has been a pretty amazing dive into these ideas, but I feel like we've just scratched the surface of this huge and profound topic.
You definitely have. But hopefully we've given you a taste of the wisdom in this ancient philosophy and how it connects to our modern understanding of the universe.
You definitely have. But before we wrap up this part of our exploration, I have one more question. If the universe is ultimately a dream, a projection of Brahman, what's on the other side of Maya? What is the true nature of this ultimate reality?
That, my friend, is the ultimate mystery. It's a question that sages and mystics have contemplated throughout history. And while the text offers some clues and guidance, it ultimately leaves it up to each individual to discover that truth through their own direct experience.
So awakening isn't just about understanding these concepts intellectually, but about actually experiencing the truth of who we are.
Exactly. It's about moving beyond the limits of our mind and merging with this infinite ocean of consciousness that is Brahman. It's about recognizing that we're not separate from that reality, but a part of it.
That's a really profound thought. It feels like I'll need some time to fully grasp it, but I have a feeling that this discussion is going to stick with me for a while.
That's what we hope for. Remember, the universe is vast and full of mysteries, and this journey of awakening is an adventure that lasts a lifetime. So keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep searching for that truth inside yourself.
This has been a fantastic start to our deep dive. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and guiding us through this complex and fascinating topic.
It's been my pleasure. And remember, the universe is a vast and mysterious place, and the journey of awakening is a lifelong adventure. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking the truth within.
We'll be back soon with more from Awakening to the Cosmic Dream, but for now, let these ideas sink in and see what new insights come up for now.
Welcome back. It's really fascinating to think about how these ancient Vedantic teachings connect with our modern understanding of the universe.
It really is. Last time we were talking about Turiya, that fourth state of consciousness, and how it's described in the text. Before we dive deeper, can you explain a bit more about what exactly makes Turiya different from those other states, like waking, dreaming, and deep sleep?
Sure. A good way to think about Turiya is as pure awareness. It's that underlying consciousness that's always there, no matter what state we're in. So like in the waking state, our awareness is focused outward on the world around us. And when we're dreaming, it turns inward to our subconscious. Then in deep sleep, we withdraw from both those external and internal experiences.
So Turi is like this silent observer that's present throughout all those different states.
Exactly. It's the constant ground of being, that silent witness to all the ups and downs of our thoughts, emotions, and perceptions.
Okay, that helps. But if Turi is always there, why don't we experience it all the time? What makes it feel so hidden or hard to access?
That's where Maya comes in. The text describes Maya as this veil that hides our true nature from us. It makes us forget our connection to Brahman, and instead, we identify with this limited sense of self that we have. It's like a filter that distorts how we see reality.
So awakening to Turiya is about taking off that filter, removing the veil of Maya, so we can experience that pure awareness directly.
That's it. And the text really stresses that this awakening isn't about escaping the world or becoming passive. It's about seeing through that illusion of separation while still being fully engaged in life.
That makes sense. But if this is all an illusion, a cosmic dream, does that mean we should just stop caring about the world? Like, if it's not ultimately real, why should we bother doing anything at all?
That's a question that comes up a lot when people are wrestling with these ideas. But the text offers a different perspective. It suggests that awakening actually helps us appreciate the world even more. When we see the universe as a manifestation of Brahman, we start to recognize this divine play in everything.
So it's not about denying the reality of our experience, but understanding its true nature.
Precisely. Think about watching a movie. You get caught up in the story, you laugh, you cry, you feel the suspense, all of that, even though you know it's not real.
That's a great analogy. So even though we might intellectually understand that the world is an illusion, we can still appreciate its beauty, challenges, and all the opportunities it gives us for growth.
Absolutely. The text actually suggests that this awakening can deepen our compassion and our sense of interconnectedness with all beings. Seeing the world as a manifestation of Brahman can inspire a sense of awe and reverence for everything around us.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's like seeing that divine spark within every living being, that interconnectedness of all things.
Exactly. And that brings us to another fascinating aspect of the text, how it explores the parallels between Advaita Vedanta and modern science.
Oh, right. I remember reading about that. It's so interesting how these really old teachings seem to resonate with some of the latest ideas in physics and cosmology.
It's really quite remarkable. Like, for example, Advaita Vedanta has always said that time and space aren't absolute realities, but rather they're constructs of Maya. And what's fascinating is that modern physics seems to be coming to a similar conclusion.
Are you talking about things like the theory of relativity, where time and space are relative to the observer?
Exactly. And the idea that the universe might be holographic, meaning that information about our 3D universe could be encoded on a 2D surface, really challenges how we typically think about reality.
So both Advaita Vedanta and modern physics are suggesting a more fluid and interconnected way of understanding the universe, where time and space aren't fixed and absolute.
Precisely. And this whole concept of interconnectedness is also supported by what we're learning in quantum physics, with all its strange and mind-bending discoveries. The idea that particles can be entangled, influencing each other instantly across huge distances, points to this deep level of interconnectedness that goes against our typical way of understanding the world.
It's pretty amazing to think that ancient wisdom and modern science might be coming together to a similar understanding of what reality really is.
Yeah, it is. And it raises some really big questions about the role of consciousness in shaping our experience of the universe. If the universe is ultimately a projection of Brahman, and we're all expressions of that same Brahman, what does that tell us about who we are and the world around us?
That's a huge question. It feels like we've only just scratched the surface of this vast topic.
We definitely have. But hopefully this deep dive has given you a little taste of the depth and complexity of these ideas and made you curious to learn more.
It definitely has. But before we wrap up, there's one question I keep coming back to. If the universe is really a dream, a projection of Brahman, what's beyond the veil of Maya? What's the nature of this ultimate reality?
That, my friend, is the ultimate mystery. And maybe the best part is that the text doesn't give us a definite answer. It invites us to discover that truth ourselves through our own experience.
So it's not just about understanding these concepts in our heads, but actually experiencing the truth of who we are.
Exactly. It's about going beyond the limitations of language and thought to directly experience that infinite ocean of consciousness, Brahman. It's about realizing that we're not separate from that reality, but actually a part of it.
That's a really profound concept. I think it will take some time for me to fully digest it, but this deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about.
That's what we were hoping for. And remember, this journey of awakening is a lifelong adventure, full of wonder, new discoveries, and the potential for real transformation. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep looking for that truth within yourself.
This has been such an incredible exploration. Thank you for sharing your insights and guiding us through this topic, which is both complex and fascinating.
It's been my pleasure. And remember, the universe is a vast and mysterious place, and the journey of awakening is a lifelong adventure.
We'll be back soon to wrap up our exploration of awakening to the cosmic dream. But until then, maybe take some time to think about what really resonated with you today. What insights are you taking away from our conversation?
Welcome back to our deep dive into awakening to the cosmic dream. It's been quite a journey so far, exploring these concepts of Maya, Brahman, and, the idea that the universe might actually be like a cosmic dream.
It really has. And you know what's really striking about this text is how it brings together those ancient teachings with modern scientific perspectives.
I completely agree. You don't often see ancient philosophy and cutting-edge science having such a harmonious conversation.
Exactly. And I think that's one reason why this text is so captivating. It speaks to both our rational minds and this intuitive sense that there's something more out there beyond the everyday world and how we usually perceive it.
Yeah, for me, one of the biggest takeaways is that awakening to who we truly are doesn't mean rejecting the world or abandoning our responsibilities. It's more about shifting our perspective, recognizing the interconnectedness of everything. It is. It's about realizing that everything is ultimately a manifestation of Brahman. It's like this cosmic dance of creation and destruction happening within this infinite ocean of consciousness.
And realizing that we're not separate from that dance, but actually a part of it.
Exactly. This understanding can lead to a sense of peace and liberation, this recognition that everything is unfolding just as it should.
Like we're all connected, playing our parts in this grand cosmic play.
Precisely. And that realization can change everything. Our priorities, how we interact with the world, how we see our place in it all.
It makes you wonder, though, if this kind of awakening is possible, why don't we see it more often? What makes it so hard to see through that veil of Maya?
The text says that it's our attachment to this illusion of a separate self, the ego, that keeps us stuck in this cycle of suffering and stops us from realizing our true nature.
So it's our own clinging to this idea of being separate that actually creates this illusion of duality.
Essentially, yes. And the ego, with all its fears, desires, and constant need for approval, can be a really powerful force.
Oh, I get that. It's like the ego is always trying to convince us that it's the real deal, that it's who we truly are.
And that's the illusion Maya creates. It reinforces this sense of separation, making us believe that those thoughts, emotions, and experiences actually define us.
So how do we break free from the ego's grasp? The text talks about practices like neti-neti and meditation, but is there something more? Is there a specific insight that can help us really see through the illusion?
The text really emphasizes self-inquiry as a way to dismantle the ego's hold on us. It's about asking ourselves questions like, who am I really? What is the nature of my true self? Where do my thoughts and feelings come from?
So by questioning our assumptions about who we are, we can start to see through this illusion of the ego.
That's the idea. And as we begin to detach from the ego, we can start to experience our true nature as Atman, as pure awareness.
This reminds me of a line from the text that really stuck with me. The world is not an illusion, but our perception of it is. It's not that the world isn't real, it's that we're seeing it through this distorted lens.
That's a powerful point. And the practices in the text, things like meditation and self-inquiry, help us clean that lens. They refine our perceptions so we can see the world as it truly is,
Yeah.
a manifestation of Brahman.
Awakening isn't about pretending our experiences aren't real then. It's about understanding their true nature, seeing them as coming from, and going back to this ocean of consciousness.
Exactly. And as we deepen that understanding, our whole experience of the world changes. We see the beauty in everyday things, the sacredness in the ordinary.
It's like the world becomes a canvas for something divine, and we're all a part of this incredible artwork.
Yes. And as we wake up to that truth, our lives become infused with a sense of meaning and purpose. We realize that everything we do, even the small things, are part of this cosmic dance and contribute to how the universe unfolds.
This has been such a rich and thought-provoking deep dive. I feel like I'm leaving with a completely new understanding of myself, the world, and the nature of reality.
That's fantastic to hear. And remember, this is really just the beginning of your exploration. This journey of awakening is something we do throughout our lives, and the insights from awakening to the cosmic dream are a valuable guide.
Absolutely. And to everyone listening, we encourage you to keep exploring these ideas as well. Read the text, think about what it teaches, and see how those ideas connect with your own life.
The universe is brimming with mysteries, and embarking on this journey of awakening is one of the most rewarding adventures you can have.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into awakening to the cosmic dream. We hope you found it as insightful as we did. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those big questions, and keep seeking the truth within yourselves.